This is Gun Cranks.
Hey guys, it's the Christmas edition of the Gun Cranks.
Ho, ho, ho. Ho,
How about that?
ho. Yeah.
Thanks for joining
Nice.
us. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale and special assignments editor Roy Huntington. And this is the Gun Cranks. And I even have my little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Is that festive or what?
That's legit. That is
it's
an
a
authentic
legit one.
Charlie Brown tree.
Well, we've got a great
kinda want
Christmas episode for you. We are going to talk about the gifts you can get at the hardware store, shooting gifts you can get at the hardware store, and we talk about first focal plane scopes, and we talk about off-body carry. So, gentlemen, I say ho, 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 let's get started.
Who here has done their Christmas shopping? Who here hasn't done their Christmas shopping? So, yeah, I know. I think that's part of being a husband and a guy and all that kind of stuff. You know, before the show started, Sherry, our producer, was talking about how her husband leaves like Christmas Eve, you know, at 4 in the afternoon and says, I'm going Christmas shopping. I'll be back in an hour or so. And she talked about getting a block of wood wrapped up one year. So I thought it was a pretty good present, actually. I mean, you know, or I think Tom said a pound of 16 penny nails. But
Yeah, you can
I
always
think-
use that.
I think that we all have to remember something, which too many people forget, especially in our industry, is that there are still things called brick and mortar stores, and there are brick and mortar gun stores. And so don't despair. If it's the day before, and you still haven't gotten a Christmas present underneath the tree with your name on it or somebody else's name, I think now's the time to nudge them along a little bit. And I'd like to start it, if you guys don't mind. And
Go ahead.
I think that your local gun store may have something like this, and if they do, you should glom onto it. Let me get my glasses, and this is Precision Plus Targets. And the reason why I like these guys is they make all kinds of these real bold, sort of angular targets. They make one with a big inverted V on it, and then they make these triangular ones. And what I do with this target is, a lot of times, is I put my sight right at the bottom corner of this. So the front sight of your gun is at the bottom corner of this. And I gotta say, it makes it really easy for old guys like me to keep a consistent hold when you're really shooting for groups, you know, with a handgun or even a rifle or something. And these make really good crosshair targets because you can see those angles on either side. Anyway, remember this and get your favorite shooter some targets that we old guys can actually see. So, and support your local gun store too, would you, while you're at it? So, Brent,
Yeah.
what's on here?
Well, I was going to say, you know, that's all great and well. You know, even 30 years ago, every town in America of any size had gun stores. You know, at least one, sometimes two or three. That's not the case anymore. And so I think what really is going to require some imagination is we figure out, if you don't have a gun store within an easy drive, what do you do? What do you do? And that, you know, I always used to call those truck stop Christmas. You know, you run to the truck stop and people end up getting a CB whip antenna and some tire chains for
Yeah.
Christmas. What you're a super home handy man helper guy, Roy. What at the hardware store, the big box store, can you know, a spouse or somebody run and get something that we can still use on the firing range or to work on our guns, but maybe, you know, you might not think of a shooting accessory at a hardware store.
I know.
Okay.
A staple gun that works. Huh?
That is brilliant.
Huh? Yeah, and not a cheap-ass plastic $5 one, all right?
Nope.
I'm talking the $30 Stanley. You could staple the Pacific Ocean to California if you have to. And get manly staples, like 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch staples, and plenty of them.
Manly staples.
Yeah,
Manly.
or
Hey, I got-
womanly staples. Yeah, but
I got
that's a
one.
good one. Yeah.
Because you got to think, I mean, you know, you do your shopping on December 24th, so you got to think of stores that are always open on December 24th. I mean, Walgreens, you could do everything there, right?
Yeah.
You know, you can buy a copy of American Handgunner first, so you got that. But the other ones that are always open on December 24th, like Lowe's and Home Depot, so you can get your favorite gunner a bottle of wire pulling gel.
I beg your pardon.
You're okay. I know something you guys don't. Let me
I've
just
seen
soak this in
those.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. It's a gun thing.
All right.
All right. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. So it's like clear gooey stuff, right?
Yeah.
But Brent, I have it on good authority. Brent has a silencer on his wish list.
Oh.
So now if it's a pistol silencer, safety notice, do not do this in a rifle silencer. A pistol silencer, you put a little wire pulling gel right there in the can, and it makes it even quieter.
You are right, and I didn't know you could use that for it.
Do
I've
not,
seen other
again,
things.
because this is really important, do not put it in a rifle suppressor. Do not do that. You'll blow it up.
Yeah.
But pistol suppressor, yep.
Yep.
First several shots. I mean, I noticed the first 4, 6, 8 shots are way quieter because you're basically burning up all that stuff inside with the hot gas, you know, and helping reduce the pressure and blast even more.
It wets it down. Because I've heard about people who I no longer talk to, of course, but they've actually been known to, shall we say, urinate in the end of their silencer.
Yeah.
In
I mean,
a combat,
other-
you know, like in a combat that you're in the stealth mode doing something.
And the beauty of this gift is when you explain what it's for, looks like a whole lot of forethought and planning went into this December 24th at 5:30 p.m. shopping spree, right? And it probably costs what, $4, $6? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get a big bottle like that.
Well,
My work
and
here is
for those
done.
of us
All right.
That's
for those of us in rural areas, I would think cattle birthing lubricant probably works too. Just saying.
That's the most novel gift idea I think I may have ever heard in my life.
I didn't
you
know that existed. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've seen it before at farms. They also use it for any veterinary procedure that requires a shoulder-length glove, and it's clear, really slippery stuff. So
okay.
So there you go.
there you go.
If that's part of your
This is
shooting
spiraling into a
routine,
bad direction.
yep. Let me wait. I want to say
Oh.
another present to get is get your spouse one of those little Ryobi toolkits that's got like a drill and a saw and a what do you call impact gun and a box of drywall screws and a couple of 2x4s, and tell him go forth and build yourself some target frames. And you know
Yes.
what? That ain't a bad present, because I do not
There you
know
go.
a single shooter who doesn't wish he had tools that actually worked and some wood and some screws to actually build his own target frame. So there you go.
Some PVC pipe for the base, you know,
Yep.
pop them right in there. There you go.
It'd be a good idea.
Well, I was going to say the cordless drill is something I always take because frames, you know, all that kind of stuff. And staples are wonderful to put the targets up, but to attach the backer to the sticks or whatever your particular flavor is, nothing works better than a short drywall screw. So there's a stocking stuffer, a box of 1-inch drywall screws.
It's true, yeah. And a MIG welder, so you can make a metal target, like the one we showed in our video.
Hold on, we're behind on our required sponsorship plug here. We'd like to
Okay.
thank everybody, especially all the Home Materials Building Centers of America, for sponsoring this episode of Gun Cranks. Okay, we can go back now.
Hint. It's true. Well, I think that does bail a lot of people out of that last minute. But I think the point here being is that if you have a favorite shooter in your house and it's late and you have no idea what to buy them, because it's hard to, you don't know, does he shoot 22 Hornets? What's that? Right?
Yeah.
But everybody could use a couple tools. Everybody could use a staple gun. Everybody could use, well, not everybody could use some of that cable lube, but maybe that it has a segment of society who could use some of that, you know. And But some 2x4s or 2x2s, furring strips to build your own target, or like Tom said, you can do a very nice lightweight target frame out of PVC piping. So, so don't despair, right, guys?
Right.
Tom, I have a question. Have you ever noticed the girls at Home Depot, when you buy your gallon jug of lube, they're going,
They'll like go away. No.
Just,
They put
just
they
don't
put
buy
those aisle-
those full-length gloves you were talking about in the same visit, and you'll be
at the
fine.
same time. And on that happy note, so close to Christmas, the Gun Cranks bade you farewell, and we hope that you too get cool stuff from Home Depot under the tree.
well, guys, I'm going to talk about this today. it's. I know our producer her head just
blanket.
exploded behind the control console. Seriously, what this is my briefcase, my attaché. It's from Katanica. I did a review recently in Guns Magazine, but it's not the brand so much, even though I like this a lot. It's the off-body carry, and I'm actually getting ready for a meeting in the government unit. I'm on a board, and I will probably do off-body carry, and I find myself doing that a lot. And I thought we've kind of touched on it, but we've never really talked about it at length. And I'll tell you, I'll start out. What I do a lot is I almost always have a firearm on me, usually a small one, because if you're wearing a suit, it's sometimes challenging. And yes, I know you need to take your suit in and have it, custom. I buy off the rack, and like many men, it's probably a little too tight. So carrying a big giant, gun with a red dot television and a light and extended mag and all that stuff, the internet commandos tell you, it's kind of hard to do. But you know what you can do? You can carry a small gun, and then you can carry whatever you want. And that's something I do quite a bit. I always make sure I keep my briefcase or whatever, my backpack, close at hand. But it just gives you that sense of comfort that if something really, really bad happens, and it's not just a get out of Dodge situation like these meetings, these happen all across the country. I want to be ready for somebody coming in, an active shooter, where it truly is a gunfight. I've got the gear necessary. So what have you guys done similar, off-body carry?
Well, I have a question first. You were talking about all the trouble with carrying a gun with a suit. Don't you carry one in your purse?
Oh.
This is my man purse.
No, it's funny. I do the same thing that you do. I have it's a VanQuest briefcase with a gun pocket in it, and Velcro hook and loop stuff inside that pocket where you can put holsters and mag carriers and things. And there are situations and environments that where that is the way that you have to go for whatever reason. I think people get hung up on oh, it's good or it's no good. It just lets you address different circumstances. A gun in a briefcase isn't going to help you with a corner mugging, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're in a government building and you hear noise down the hall, okay, that's viable, So, as with everything, there's a spectrum of options to consider.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what kills me about the internet commandos, that off-body carry should never, ever happen ever, because, you have to get into a fight right this second. And I will agree, if you are in a situation where you can carry on you, that's optimal. But those of us that have lived life a little longer understand that you don't always get to choose optimal circumstances. So that would be my argument to the never carry off-body crowd.
It's good in a car, too. If you're on a long car trip, it can be tough, in a normal, depending on how you normally carry. I carry IWB, and especially if I'm driving, that's a tough scenario right there, because it's right at the seatbelt buckle and you're bent over, and the briefcase is a good way to secure things and still have it within reach.
In the early 80s, before we ever talked about off-body carry, it dawned on me, and it was in San Diego, so it's hot summer times, and so I started carrying my off-duty gun in just a small little zippered pouch. I think I had handcuffs and a spare mag and a flashlight and stuff like that. But I terrified myself one day because I was in my favorite gun store and I had set it down on the counter, And while I was looking at guns and we were talking and we were doing stuff like that. And so I said, thank you very much. I turned around and I left. Of course, this was before the days of cell phones. And I was about 2 blocks up the street and I went, you know, so I hauled ass back to the gun store. They were old friends of mine. And of course, when I came in, they were holding it up like this and they were going, looking for this, you know? And it scared me to death though, because what if that had been the McDonald's or something like that? And so it really taught me a lesson about off-body carry means it stays connected to you, only it happens to not be in your waist or in your something. And so after that, anytime I ever went off-body carry, it was with the shoulder strap situation. And when Maxpedition first came out with their kind of over-the-shoulder, you know,
Man purse.
pretty innovative man purse, yeah. But there was a reason why they exploded in popularity. It was because you could do all of that stuff, but not forget it at McDonald's, you know. And the other thing I've noticed since moving to the rural area, when I was in San Diego, I always felt that I had to have a big gun, multiple magazines, a good flashlight, you know, body armor in the trunk of my car, because you're in this really densely populated urban environment. And we had a couple of major shootings there, starting at the old McDonald's shooting in the 80s, which I went to. We'll talk about that someday. But it taught me that I did not want to be unprepared, you know. But then when we went rural 12, 13 years ago, and you realize that the threat level is considerably lower. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but I feel less of a need to be so prepared. And so I don't feel I have to go to Home Depot and wear a plate carrier and, you know, and have a backup rifle in my carry-on, you know. And I'll just end this little bit that I'm saying by, there was a Star Trek years ago that with Captain Picard, and he said something though that makes good sense about a lot of things. He said, he was talking to somebody, they said, well, that's an exceptional situation. He said, life itself is an exercise in the exceptions. And I thought, that's exactly right. And so that's what we're talking about. I think Brent, you summed it up really well. You know, every situation is different, so you have to change. So these internet commandos that say, well, you're an idiot if you do that. It's like, well, no, it's an exercise in exceptional situations.
Well, I just realized something though, Roy. I'm really missing the boat. I should have my suit not only fitted for my gun, but my plate carrier. I mean, shouldn't I wear a plate carrier when I got a suit on? Because meetings are high threat environments, right?
Haven't you seen the YouTube video? You know,
You ever go to Walmart? The most dangerous place on earth.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Have you
Good
guys,
idea.
we haven't talked about this, but have you seen the video going around of the guy in the barber chair with the shooting? Have you seen that yet?
No.
What?
I'll send it to you. One of our writers just sent it to me. I don't know where it was, but a guy sitting in a barber chair, and it was the surveillance video. And apparently this mope comes in and he shoots his girlfriend, the barber, and he turns the customer, the Barbie, jumps out of the chair, and he's still got the apron on, and he's kind of getting out of the way. And so the guy doesn't pay any attention. He shoots his girlfriend, then he's mouthing her, and this guy comes out and puts 6 right in the guy and just drops him like a bad habit. So I've seen a lot of Westerns like that too, and John Wayne movies where they've had to shoot it out of the barber chair. But I always think about that when I'm going to the barber, but that's always on the body carry.
Wow.
Well, did you see something the other day? I guess somebody actually used his shower gun to defend himself in a house break-in. Yeah, he has a plastic, like a Tupperware container that he keeps, an old J-frame or something in it, and he keeps it in his shower.
In the shower.
Yeah. And
Man,
lo
that's a
and
rough
behold,
neighborhood.
yeah, his house was broken into. The guy came in the bathroom while he was in the shower, and as he shot the snot out of the bad guy from inside the shower. Yay! But there you go. That solves that. You've often wondered about shower carry. Now we know.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever tried towel carry? I
don't
actually,
know
that reminds me, I got a reader mail some months back. A guy, similar situation. He was in the shower, but he kept some 44 Magnum revolver in his stack of towels in the bathroom.
Oh, there you go.
And he heard this banging on the back door, so he steps out of the shower, pulls his revolver out of the stack of towels, and looks out the window and sees a guy breaking into his door, a couple feet down. So he taps on the window with the revolver. The guy looks at him, and the eyes get this big, and he just takes off. So.
Wow.
So
Well,
always keep a revolver in your towels. I think.
be
is
careful
the
before you
moral
throw
of the
rocks.
story.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, see, we probably inspired some internet fighting now with what's the right kind of Tupperware to carry in your off body in your shower, and should you fold the towels, quarter fold or some kind of eighth fold for maximum tactical advantage.
Well, and
Please,
low-length
God,
fabric.
Let's not have tactical towels, please. Yeah, please. Let's not. I can see him now with Black Hawk on them. Yeah. And,
Roy, somebody's right now. Oh, tactical towel. Yeah, I'm a big
because
proponent
what a great
of tactical
idea.
towels. Wow.
Yeah, with multiple ballistic weave materials. So
1,000 denier nylon. So
I know.
This was more animated than I thought it was going to be, and I really do love the Tupperware shower thing, because I've often thought of that. I don't live in a high crime area, but I've got a gun in my bathroom, but it would be nice to have it actually in the shower, because where are you more indisposed
You're going to
than
do
in
that.
the shower?
And you know what? You can save all those little desiccant bags that say
put 'em
"do
in
not
there.
eat." Just save them and just put them in there, and then
And then if you get really hungry, no, never mind. So
no, don't eat that.
well,
Do you guys remember when we used to have good advice on this show?
No, I actually don't ever recall that at all.
what program have you been watching, Tom?
I
Certainly
don't
not
know.
this one. Well, guys, I think this was
right.
a great segment. I think we need to revisit this sometime in the future after I get some more tactical towels. So we'll do it again.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. Since we're having all this agreement on this episode, can we agree on one more thing? That Bill Nye, the science guy, is kind of a weenie?
Yeah.
Hey, I like Bill.
Come
Nye.
on.
Sure. All right.
Okay,
all right.
but he's on to something, because he takes difficult science topics and makes them understandable. He figures out ways to explain stuff that's kind of digestible to us mere mortals. So there's some good in that. So anyway, we've gotten all kinds of comments on scopes. And what I'm talking about is this whole first focal plane, second focal plane, reticles, all this stuff, right? So I think we need to clarify that for our viewers. Primarily, first focal plane versus second focal plane, and why you need to care about such things. Fortunately, Roy, guess what? We have a former sniper on our show today.
Oh, that's right.
We do.
Well,
Now, I don't know if he was a good one or not, but we do have one, and you got to work with what you got. Yeah. So, Brent, let's talk about this. Educate
well, kids,
explain it.
Kids, classes in
that's
session.
Good.
And it was, before we got started on this, Roy was saying, yeah, people talk about this, but nobody remembers it. I would kind of agree. People tend not to understand this, and they just blow it off. They just know that first focal plane are really expensive usually, and second focal plane aren't. Beyond that, if you do know the difference, ask somebody, and the looks you get and the stuttering and, well, I kind of think, it's really very simple. Okay, I just happen to have a scope here. It's a Trijicon Huron 2.5 by 10 40X. Great scope, love them. Just that was what I had to happen to have. This is a second focal plane scope. What the focal plane is referring to is where the crosshair, or whatever you happen to have in that flavor of scope, lives. So of the various different optics that are in this thing, and I think everybody pretty much knows there's all kinds of glass through here. There's areas called focal planes, and that's a theoretical spot where things line up and you can do things with the light. On a second focal plane scope, they put your reticle, your crosshairs in there, and the difference is on that second focal plane, as you adjust the power up and down, the reticle stays the same size. So that's important if you're using like a bullet drop calculator or a mil dot system to determine lead or drop or things like that, that the only time it will be accurate will be at a certain power setting. So I'm not sure of the specs of the scope, but generally speaking, it's usually the most powerful setting. So if this is a 10x scope, at 10x, I will know that my, say, mil dots will equal 1 mil for the various spaces. On a on a first focal plane scope, see, I get confused too. On a first focal plane, the way you can tell that is the reticle changes as you dial up and down. So at low power, it'll be a little crosshair, and you dial it up, it gets bigger, and you can see that. What that does is, regardless of the power of the scope, your bullet drop compensator, your mil dots are accurate. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 power, 10 power, 300 power, they are all accurate. So first focal plane, it changes. Second focal plane, it doesn't. So why all the big difference? It's very simple. Cost. Second focal plane scopes are cheaper, and that's why you generally see them in hunting and casual lower end type scopes. And first focal plane typically are used in anti-personnel type of scopes where you are going to be making using a bullet drop compensator or mil dots. So we don't normally get quite this technical on gun cranks, but did I explain it?
Yeah, so let me regurgitate some of that. So, first focal plane scope, the reticle part is in front of the magnify thing, right? That's a verb. The magnify thing is the part that makes stuff bigger, right? So if the reticle's in front of it, what you're looking at and the reticle both get bigger, right? Yeah, and in a second focal plane, it's behind the magnify thing,
and it's
cool stuff.
It's cheaper. That's the basic big difference.
So why do people care?
So what I learned is I'm keeping my 1963 era Weaver K-Force fixed power scope.
Then you don't have to worry about any of it, right?
But I still don't know if it's a first or second focal plane scope.
It's probably a second focal plane.
Well, if it's fixed, it don't matter, right?
I'm a dinosaur.
No, but you know what though? People make it more complicated than it needs to be, because here's the only time it matters is if you're gonna do one of two things: hold over using one of the marks, or, and a lot of people don't know you can do this, or if you're gonna look at something far away, your target, and you want to figure out the distance, you can actually figure that out, using the reticle on a good scope like that. So,
and you can even measure distances downrange, and with mil dots, for example, there's formulas you can figure out your lead. So if I'm at 300 and somebody is walking, you'll know you're on this particular gun and rifle that your lead should be maybe 2 MOA, so you move over in front and then you send it. But again, that's a pretty specialized application, and that's why what kills me is people don't understand this and they want to put a first focal plane on their hunting rifle, which that's fine, but you're spending money you don't have to. So, if you got the money, fine,
I
great.
kind of disagree, although I'm more of a geek on stuff like this. No, I mean, the only thing I disagree with is that I really like first focal plane scopes because I don't have to worry about my magnification. If it's, if I'm at 3x, I know that first holdover bar, what it's going to do for me. If I'm at 10x, I know what that first holdover bar is going to do for me, right? I don't have to think about
the cost difference is typically significant. So that's the only reason I say most of us don't have the extra. I'd rather see people buying ammo with the extra several $100s so they can practice and be good, because we argue about the minutia of it, but what's it come down to? It comes down to the loose nut behind the gun. And as Roy's often said, most guns will shoot better than the people shooting them.
Yeah. Well, let me ground it just for the guys like me who either are still confused by this or just don't want to spend the money, is that, or you get yourself a scope that you're comfortable with or have used a lot, a 4-power Weaver, right? And you shoot your bolt action 30-06 out to 300 yards, and then you write the data down on a piece of duct tape on your rifle stock. And so then you use your $49 laser rangefinder and you say, my deer's 250 yards away. You look at your piece of duct tape, it tells you hold over 4.5 inches. You hold over 4.5 inches and you send the bullet. And that works pretty well. And so I think a lot of this technology scares people away. I've had people tell me, hey, I want to go deer hunting, and they're talking to me about $1,000 rifle and how much do they need on a scope, and how, and it's like, I tell them, just go to Walmart and buy a $400 rifle and take whatever scope is on it. And like Brent says, now go buy 5 or 6 boxes of ammunition and learn how to shoot your gun. And so I think while all this stuff is fun and it absolutely has a use, I think we just have to, part of our job is to make it friendly for people and let them know, but you don't need to do that.
Yep.
Right. Well, it all, like anything in shooting, it all depends on the application, right? If you're hunting deer at 200 yards and in, not much of this is really relevant. If you're shooting long-range competitions on Saturday mornings, NRAF class or something like that, you need to understand this stuff,
Yep.
So,
Pretty simple, really, but, again, we want to argue the minutia instead of getting out and putting rounds down range. So that was kind of my point there. Even if you don't remember what the difference is, if you don't know the difference, you probably don't need a first focal plane unless you just have plenty of money. Nothing wrong with it, but I would always say,
well,
get a decent scope and then buy a bunch of ammo and be the guy who can put it down range accurately at any distance, any reasonable distance. So that's my point.
There's a lot to be said for focusing on good glass first, something nice and clear and sharp and durable that's not going to get knocked out of alignment, under recoil.
Yep.
So,
and that's another whole topic is the scope technology today, just like a lot of things, is head and shoulders better than what it was 20 years ago. So you can get a pretty darn good scope for, not a whole bunch of money.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
We're in agreement. That's
what?
That's
Wait,
frightening. That is just
Cut this
frightening.
off now.
Well, this has been a little drier than I wanted it to be, but this has come up recently, so I just wanted to make sure that we had a chance to discuss that. And when I started giving my explanation of it, I realized I guess it is kind of complicated, but hopefully it's now clear as mud, and we can move forward from there. So there you go. Well, ho, 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 we've reached the end of yet another Gun Cranks as we toddle on into Christmas. Hopefully gave you some great ideas. And Tom, I know of another great idea that we didn't cover is the FMG special publications. Would you like to inform people how they can find some of that great stuff and give it to their favorite shooter?
I certainly would. These special editions make great gifts. We got surplus, we got do-it-yourself gunsmithing, we got Old West, we got concealed carry, all available at the FMG store. Just go to either AmericanHandgunner.com or GunsMagazine.com and look for the store links. You'll find them. We can't get them to you by tomorrow, so you know how this works. You cut out the picture, you take the email that we send you, and you wrap it up to account for your lack of planning in advance, right? So just do that.
So do that, set it next to the gift card that you just had to buy and cut the picture out and give to them, and you're all set for Christmas. So our other reminder, of course, please subscribe to the Gun Cranks, and we really need your comments down here. Tell us what you agree with, what you don't agree with it. Make comment on Tom, like the guy that just recently said he looked homeless. I don't really know why he said that, but he actually told us that, so whatever. We just need comments, folks. So put your favorite recipe down there. I don't care. We just want to show YouTube and our bosses that people are indeed watching. So on that note, I'm going to close this out as I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and whatever holiday you want to choose, but we all happen to celebrate Christmas. So ho, ho, ho. On behalf of the Gun Cranks, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. Have a Merry Christmas.